Hi there. So we're going to start setting this pendant. Here we go. Got a little pendant here. We're going to set it down. I'm going to make sure that it's on a flat surface. Surface has to be very, very flat. Make sure the bail isn't making it protrude or anything. It's got to be sitting flat. You can always pop it on a piece of blue tack and settle it and elevate it like that if you wish. It's got to be flat. I've laid out my ashes. I've put them on here just so you can see better on a black background. But I do choose the whitest and the largest grains of ashes to do these. If you don't have any ashes and your ashes are like powder, you can dip in the resin and just roll and put them in that way. But most ashes will have some larger grains. So I've stirred the resin. I've stirred it very slowly to try and minimise bubbles, but I'll show you how to get them out after. So that's been stirred. So what I'm going to do, just so you can see better, I am going to move that a minute. Have my resin here, and I have my little pot of tinting pigment. I'm going to go for blue. So what we do is we add this in very, very, very bit by bit, because with tinting pigment a little goes a long way, and you don't want your tint to be too dark. If it's too dark, you won't see the ashes. So we add it in little bit by little bit, like that. I usually use a fresh stick to add little bits in, but for video purposes I need to be going a little bit quicker because resin likes to cure and I don't want it to become sticky before I've finished showing you how to make this pendant. Make sure it's all thoroughly stirred in properly and slowly. And I'm going to go for a little bit more. I mean, as I said, if you have it too dark, you won't see the ashes. If it's too pale, well, you can have it really pale if you want, but I think it's all about preference, really. I prefer it to be a little bit darker, but not too dark. Like that. And maybe just a tiny little drop more, like that. A bit more. There we go. There's our blue. Like there, like that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit on your cocktail stick, run it over the edge like that so it's not dripping everywhere, and you're going to just drop in a few drops into the base like that. A little bit more. Be careful not to run it over the sides. If it runs over the sides, you can get a little cotton bud and you can just clean up the sides. Make sure none of the sides have got. And then you're just going to spread it around like that. You want to half fill the base. You don't want to completely fill it at this point. You just want to half fill it. So we've half filled that with our blue. And then we're now going to add our precious ashes. So with the wet cocktail stick, just going to pick each grain up like that. And start adding them to your pendant. You don't want the ashes to be very, very, very chunky, because I mean, you shouldn't have any ashes that are so chunky that they're not going to get covered by the resin anyway. So we're just going to pop them in there like that. Don't worry about rushing. You do have a little time before the resin starts to cure. So we're just going to pop them in there, little piece by little piece, like that. sure that we're really careful and making sure that you have glasses on, just in case your vision's not great. So we're popping them in there like that. You see the ashes in there now? Just bit by bit. It's totally up to you if you want lots of ashes or you only want a few ashes. Depending on the colour of the ashes and the size of the ashes, you'll get different looks. So it all depends on what your ashes look like. There we go. Like that, making sure you fill the base, the bottom of the base, like that. Here we go. And keep on going, I think. A few more in. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit more resin, tiny bit, and we just want a little bit of a domed surface on this. Just take one drop, do it drop by drop, because you don't want to overfill it. There we go, drop's gone in. Now I want you to get down on eye level and I want you to see if it's flat or it's domed. It's up to you, you can have it flat or you can have it domed. I like my pieces to be slightly domed, but not overly domed. They're like that. And I'm looking at that on eye level. If you've overfilled it and you think, oh, I'd rather it didn't have so much of a dome on it, what you can do is you can just very lightly touch the top of it and wipe off any excess, like that, and that will take some of the dome off. But be very careful. Like I said, you can get a cotton bud if you've made a mess. And hopefully you all have had your practice bases, so you'd have practiced on those. What you're going to do now is you're going to take a lighter, any lighter, and you are going to pop any air bubbles. Don't be frightened, you're not going to ruin your silver or your resin or ashes. And you're just going to put it over like that. After you've done that, you're going to pop a plastic cover over there, preferably like a drinks cup or something like that, a see-through one, so you can see what's happening. You're going to leave it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then you're just going to take your lighter again and you're just going to run that over there quickly. You do it quickly just to pop any of those bubbles again. Be careful not to knock it though when you do that. Then you put your cup back over the top and you're going to leave that. It will be touch dry in 6 hours, but preferably I'd like you to leave it for a day. It all depends on your resin type. So this one is touch dry in 6 hours, and full cure a few days. So there we go, and I'll show you once it's done.